Welcome back, everyone. You can see here that I have made my giant wall of barrels. I have not yet had cause to fill out most of them, but as time progresses I will, as items start taking up too much of my AE system. I've also added a little extra addition to the AE system. We can store 16 buckets of water that gets very quickly refilled by an aqueous accumulator. Thus allowing us to fill the igneous extruder. So if we were, for example, to set it to obsidian, we'd get lava from the left. From the top we'd get water. We could output obsidian. I've decided today we are going to work on increasing our power generation. We're going to do this by turning our passively cooled reactor into an actively cooled reactor, which means building a giant steam turbine to use the steam produced and turn it into power. Now, to make a turbine, you need blocks. I forget what the name of the block is. Oh, a coil. Coils are made of precious metals, and depending upon which metal you use, the coil can be more or less efficient. By far the most efficient coil material is Enderium. So first, we are going to work on automating the production of Enderium. We see here that I have added an ME interface up top, and I should, oops, here, use the wrench to tell it to go down. This interface will go empty into a hopper, which will empty into a magma crucible. The magma crucible can then use that to melt any item we need it to, which can go to the fluid transposer and transpose that fluid into a bucket, for example. What we can additionally do change this interface so that it can add buckets to the fluid transposer. Although this is not actually the best way to do this. Probably I will rethink how that's working. What we will need to do, though, to make Enderium is use the induction smelter. So I'm adding an interface here to the induction smelter. I am going to tell it to only send things into the smelter. Going to make the blue inputs on the side of the interface. Oh my, excuse me. It's getting late here. And then the top will be the output. Okay. To make this happen, then, we will need some ducts. And let's also make sure we have a cover ready. Because these item ducts are going to want to combine, and we are going to stop that. So, if we put a duct here, oh, actually, this is fine. If we change that, it'll go to an interface, which means it will get put into the AE system. Excellent. Okay, so now we need to make the recipes. What we need, I've already made a recipe for pyrotheum dust. If we take Enderium blend, plus pyrotheum dust, we will get solid Enderium, which I can show you by placing those in, and the Enderium will come out. Awesome. There is only, well, I guess there are a few stages now of this process that we have not yet, entirely automated. And that is the making of that Enderium blend. We can melt down magma, or melt down ender pearls. But we need to be able to use that to make Enderium blend. We actually have quite a lot of Enderium blend, but we will need quite a lot more. So, I think in total we need 37 blocks of Enderium, which is going to be quite a hefty amount. So we need to tell our system how to grind down shiny ingots and tin. This is actually a difficult task, though, since by default we should be exporting tin and platinum dust. I see what we need to do, though. We can make it... Okay. So we currently have those in fuzzy export buses, which means they will export not only the exact item we have there, but any OR dictionary compatible entries. If instead we make it so that tin and platinum dust are only input into our smelter when we have the exact type, it will mean that we can grind these ingots up in the thermal expansion machines. and they will not get export for resmelting. That's pretty crucial to having this whole system work. We need these to get ground up, and then we need to turn them into Enderium blend. The easiest way to do this is to use the cyclic assembler. The cyclic assembler is pretty awesome in that it can take these as inputs along with the buckets of resonant ender but what might be better for our current purposes is to figure out a way to get buckets into the fluid transposer. Because if it had buckets, we could just use them. Ooh. Okay. This is an interface, unfortunately, because yeah, we will need to use the bottom of this block. Oh, good. The bottom is not currently being used. We can use as an input. We will just need to run an export bus there, and we can have the fluid transposer constantly filled with buckets. So we'll just need, well, we'll go for a precision export bus. Make ourselves another of those. In the meantime, we can add our precision export bus here. And remove platinum dust and tin dust. Put them here in the precision export bus. This will make it so that anything that is run through our sag mill, which I'll remind you is our automated ore processing, will get smelted as it should. But if we have a shiny ingot and a tin ingot that get ground in the thermal expansion pulverizer, they will not get placed back there. That means we can get pulverized shiny metal and pulverized tin. And we can tell our system that it can make these in the pulverizer. Shiny metal and tin. Awesome. Okay, now we need that export bus. Oops. Awesome. And we'll also want a cover and a facade. Does not appear we currently have any buckets. That's okay. Okay, so if we had that there, cover things up down here. Yeah, I just want it to move single items. Now any buckets in the AE system will get moved into the fluid transposer. This is fantastic. It means if we put ender pearls into the interface, we will end up with buckets of Enderium. For each bucket, we'll need 4 ender pearls. Sorry, yeah, bucket of resonant ender is what I meant to say, not Enderium. So, there we go. Now, if we take our pulverized shiny metal and our pulverized tin, we can actually make our Enderium blend. These are all tin, and that is pulverized shiny metal. And we can make it in our molecular assembly chamber. So, I think at this point, we should be able to just tell the system to make us Enderium, and it will. But let's check that. If we take out, okay, we've taken out all the Enderium blend. If we take out all the Enderium and tell it to make one, let's make sure it works. So, first we're making a bucket of resonant ender. We're also grinding tin and platinum. Those are all going to get combined into Enderium blend. The Enderium blend should have shown up here in the induction smelter, but didn't because I had blocking mode on. If we're only using that crucible for Enderium, then blocking mode is unimportant. Okay, let's double check what's going on here? Theoretically, it is crafting a resonant ender bucket, which we do not currently have. It does not know to do that. It might need to craft a bucket. So I am going to keep a stack of buckets here. Even if it means that I am crafting them. Okay, something is weird here. Where items going there are getting placed into the hopper. I did not expect that to happen. I actually thought that items entering that interface would get added to the AE system. The solution isn't too complicated. We just need one more interface. While that's crafting, we can see that our induction smelter should be working, but it has nowhere to export to. Did I replace the floor here? I did not. So we need that interface. It's a slow process. Okay, but theoretically we can now request Enderium and eventually hope to get it. What this means is that we can tell... Actually, let's do one more step, just so we don't have to do any math. We will put in the recipe for a block of Enderium, and now we can directly request blocks of Enderium. It looks like I am going to need 36 blocks of Enderium. So I will tell my system to get working. In the meantime, we have all this resonant ender that's going to help the whole system out. I made previously. Based upon my research, I think I could actually improve the efficiency of this reactor by putting extra Enderium here in the spaces that don't have any right now. That may be part of the reason why we've never gotten great efficiency from this reactor, and thus our mining laser has not been a net positive. I'm not sure. Either way, let's look at a little bit more at some of the other things we are going to need. So if we look at turbine, we can see some of the blocks we will need to have the whole thing working. First thing we will need is some turbine housing. This uses steel and also cyanite, which is why I have not been recycling it into plutonium, as well as some graphite and some nether quartz. Then we can make our turbine controller, for which we will need one more plutonium, which we make here in the cyanite reprocessor. Though I suppose it's a somewhat slow process. What else will we need? We'll need a power port. We will need 2 fluid ports. A lot of these rotor bearings. And then many rotor shafts and blades. At the moment, however, we are still waiting on our Enderium. And, in fact, we need to wait on that cyanite reprocessor as well. So, I think we will leave the episode here. Between this episode and next, I will make all of those items that I told you I will need, so that at the beginning of next episode, we can get right into setting up our turbine. This is going to be really cool. And if I remember correctly, and have done my calculations correctly, it will allow us to run our mining laser at maximum power forever, giving us a constant stream of power through the production of more yellorium and materials, metals and ores of every kind. So I'm super excited. Hope you are too. And I'll see you next episode.